we could not believe how clean the image really was. And that gave us a lot of opportunities to play with the light, to work with a smaller size crew, to use fewer lights, to work a little bit faster. But ultimately, what it came down to is because of what the sensor was able to deliver.
Hi, this is Cinema 5D. My name is Nino Leitner, and I'm here in a video call with Kacper Skowron in Los Angeles. How are you?
Hi guys, great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for being on this call. Actually, today we're going to talk about a project that you did. But before we talk about it, can I ask you to introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. My name is Kacper Skowron. I was raised and born in Poland. I've been residing in Los Angeles for about 8-9 years now. I mostly shoot feature-length films, some short, some music videos, some documentaries, but it seems like more and more it's just feature films.
Really cool. So you're used to working on bigger projects, as we can see on your website. You have an amazing body of work there. But recently you shot something smaller, a short film called The Sit Down. And I think before we're actually going to talk about it, I think our audience should have a quick look.
I respect you coming down here like this. Took guts.
If men can't face each other, they cease to be men at all.
I mean, you could have just run.
From you? Nah.
Nah.
So this was The Sit Down, which you shot in Los Angeles recently. What can you tell me about this production?
Well, from the get-go, we knew the camera, and that was like the whole project was based around the camera. And when I received this script, I was like, wow, it spoke to me in a way that it was fairly basic, one location, and we knew that there was things that we can play with. And as a cinematographer, to me, it's always trying to find a unique language and something that would work well with the script, for scripted stuff. And I started asking the directors, like, what was his vision? What can we? It's like, what is it that his vision is, and then what is it that we can do to push it further and kind of play with the concept? That basically started the two characters sitting in a booth at a table at a restaurant, having a dialogue, and that's the movement. So very simple, yet we want to kind of have fun with it.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, those things are also the most challenging, I guess, because you're so confined with what the script gives you. So to be creative in that small space is not so easy.
Yeah, but I always figure out back also in a film school, it's like, here are the tools, here are the limitations, go and have fun, play. And I think that's how we approach this. And David, he's incredible guy who has a good vision, good taste, and we just hit it off. And yeah, we just had fun. And that was basically, we knew that we wanted to just try something new. We wanted to experiment a little bit here and there. There's a little bit of room to play. And that's how we approach this project.
You shot this on a camera that you usually don't work with, the Panasonic S1H, which is a new mirrorless camera from Panasonic that is really centered around filmmaking. I think this is probably the only mirrorless camera on the market that is filmmaking first in a way, if you know what I mean. It's like it has waveforms and all kinds of things that we're still waiting for from many other camera manufacturers. But anyway, how did you think? Why did you choose this as a tool over other cameras?
Well, there is basically this film. We were hired by Panasonic to be straight off, and they said, "Well, this is the camera. Go and shoot with it ashore." David selected a script. So the camera to us was given. I never personally shot with this camera. Some of my friends have. Some of my friends actually own this camera right now. And I was actually very excited. I've seen enough footage to understand more or less what it can do. I've never sit through it with the process of post-production. So I was very excited. It's always putting your hands on a new technology, whatever just came out, and being able to see what it can do. I mean, give me a name of a DP who would not like to do that, and especially for for Panasonic that has been producing some fantastic camera now, lately, and I was like, yes, thank you. So when we basically got the camera, the question remained, what lenses should we use? And to me, it's always trying to match the sensor with the lenses in order to find a unique language for the script. And we were able to test for one day. We tested out some really cool old glass. A friend of ours has a company that specifically rents like a very vintage, unique glass, and we went to him. We tested a few, and when I saw the S2 Cookes, I was like, man, we have to use those anamorphics, and we did.
Yeah, that's really cool because you used this super modern camera with a very high resolution, but you used vintage glass. So I think if you see the film and don't know what it's been shot on, it could be shot on a lot of different things, which is the best thing you can say in my opinion, because it doesn't have this super sharp modern look that a lot of other films do, which are shot with modern cameras.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think that was the goal. To us, we wanted to find a unique language, and sure, there's a lot of filtration that people can use, and there's a lot of possibilities. A lot of times, the modern chips can be extremely sharp and almost not forgiving. And when we start looking closely at the skin tones, at the small imperfections on especially on the actors' faces, you wanted something not only complementary but also something that mood-wise works with the lighting, with the action, and everything else. So I think finding a perfect match, understanding what a sensor really, what the characteristics of a given sensor are, and then finding a complementary glass in front of it. And sometimes even with the addition of filters, I think that's the way to go. And being able to do a test for one day was detrimental to achieving the look that we wanted to. Because it's, to me, we want to have a little bit softer, yet the characters, if you've already seen the film, they're pretty rough. So you want to kind of play with that balance, and it's I do not want to, for those that have not seen the film, too much away. But there's a little play, and if you have seen the film, you understand why.
Yeah, we shouldn't give the ending away here. The one thing that I can say when I have played with the S1H is that I was really amazed by the light sensitivity, but also the way how clean the footage is. It's almost too clean compared to other cameras when it comes out. I haven't ever seen any camera that produces images as clean as this one. So how did you deal with this?
Well, I knew I've never really shot a feature project using the staple of Panasonic the cameras, which is the big Mama, which I'm not sure if it's the same or similar sensor as the Varicam. Yeah, but I know that it's for the light low situation. The Varicam is fantastic. And a lot of renowned DPs have really kind of spoke very, very highly. So that was one of the reasons why I was very excited to actually work with this camera. I was like, let's actually put it to a true test and see what we can do. So we did. We shot a very high ISO of 3200, and you should check out the film. And we could not believe how clean the image really was. And that gave us a lot of opportunities to play with the light, to work with a smaller size crew, to use fewer lights, to work a little bit faster. But ultimately, what it came down to is because of what the sensor was able to deliver, and it's just I cannot speak highly enough of it. I think we just have to, and it's not only the film I just shot. I think there's going to be some other examples coming up as well. But we pushed the sensor a little bit, and it's amazing.
I think you're used to working with cameras that are rated as a much lower ISO, like for example the Alexa and others, which are also really really good in low light, but of course not as light sensitive. What do you say to people who say that I don't need this high ISO because I can just light my set? You know what I mean? How would your workflow have changed if you were to use, let's say, an Alexa on the same shoot? Because you would have a camera that is, 2 or 3 stops less light sensitive.
Well, this is we could have not this film with the same size crew and with that, with different lighting package. It was not for how high ISO enabled us to shoot. I mean that's a fact. Because of we used a lot of practical bulbs, and we had to, because of safety, it's like we're shooting in a practical location, we had to be able to use kind of what was given and implement whatever what was given to us. And if we were shot, let's say at the ISO 800, we would basically lost about 2 stops. And that's a lot of light they would have to supplement. And that was, for us, that was the only way to go. We had to shoot about 300, otherwise the look would be compromised.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting because I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, that you're able to work with a lot more practicals. You're basically able to use existing light much more easily than you would be with a less light sensitive camera, right?
Absolutely, and I mean, and it's because it's in the last, I think, 3-4 years, when the cameras are getting much better and more sensitive to, we are able to use, and it's like everybody's doing it right now, that I would argue that the lighting has changed dramatically in the past few years. And it's not only because of the LED technology is getting so much better, but it's also in addition to how better the cameras are and how cleaner the image is and how the ISO is allowing us to really see things that never before as it was even possible. So even it's like having actual do scenes that are actually lit by a candle. That always would have to be a trick that you just rigging in a lantern or doing some other tricks in order to make it look believable. Right now, technology exists, and if you can shoot wide open, if you can really push the camera to its limits, there's a lot of more room to play. Absolutely.
So a lot of our audience members are always interested in how something is lit. I mean, obviously with the sit down, you managed to create a very, very intimate, dense atmosphere in a very, very short amount of time. I mean, this is also supported by the very cool music track and also the actors themselves. But the lighting is very, very subtle, and the camera movement. How did you go about lighting this, and what did you use?
We approached the film with one given fact. It's like we have a limited time, limited budget, limited characters. So we knew that it's like we have to use as our base, and we've decided to use our base after a few talks with my gaffer. It's like we just want to go use tungsten practical bulbs that are used on almost every film from back in the day to now. So it was one of those things that, number one, we want to see how the sensor would work with a traditional tungsten bulb. So a lot of those practicals you see all around, and it's easy to swap, does not create, especially in the smaller wattage, do not create a lot of heat. They're consistent, and the tone and the look, it's something that we really liked. And then we just added 3 additional lights. So one of them was 1x1 Astra, with a bicolor, and we're able to use batteries on all of them, so it's quick, easy setups depending where we wanted, like a little kick or fill. Then we use the Quasars Q5, 10, and 20. I've been using those a lot, and they're fantastic. And they're just battery operated with magnets. Put them anywhere, cover them. I'm loving those lights. And then the third, our biggest light, was basically is some Chinese kind of LED, like a 2x4, something like a light gear, almost like a light tile sense light. They were able to open up and build a chimera, and that was our kind of soft key. Yeah, and those are basically our lights. And it's only then becomes of shaping and putting them in the right places, making sure that it's because both the characters are hairless. So how do we make sure that we are lighting them in a way that it's complementary to them into the film?
Yeah, interesting. How long did you actually shoot? One night?
No, we only had 6 hours. The first shot, it took us. The first two shots were the most difficult. The first was when the character steps in a pool, and then the second shot with the French fry. So that was kind of really crazy rig for the camera. It had to be inverted, push in. That was two big setups, and it was a little bit more traditional.
Interesting. So if you were to use that camera again, I mean, obviously you very often using bigger cameras, but for which kind of projects would you still use the S1H?
Well, let's be clear that I think all of us DPs would love to have options, and I always believe in having B and C camera if possible, just to be on the safe side. So I was shooting as an example, just to communicate. In December, I was shooting a Blonde Experiment, another feature film, and there was a director looking at me and said, "Kacper, it's like, can you jump in the pool to get this shot?" And it's basically setting sun. We're in a Beverly Hills, like a beautiful mansion, and we have maybe 5 to 7 minutes of remaining light. And I looked at my first AC Luigi. I was like, "Luigi, let's do this." So I stripped, jumped in the pool. I was like, "Hey, give me the camera." I was like, "Kacper, it's like, do you want Alexa?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No, can I give you, can I give you, GH5?" I was like, "Sure, just give it to me." So it's in those moments that, especially sometimes when you're being pushed, and we know that you will be. This is we're making movies, right? We have no idea a lot of times what's going to change and what's going to come up. I always want to have a backup camera, and a lot of times being able to have a smaller camera to put it sometimes in a unique angle, or even jumping in a pool like I had to last time, and just for safety, because who knows what's going to happen in the pool, right? If a character is going to splash all over me, or something may fall or may slip, who knows? I've decided to use for one shot, a different camera, and and I don't think we'd be able to tell a difference, because it's going to be nice, quick, and everybody was happy.
Amazing. Last question about the S1H actually. I mean, this is probably one of the very few mirrorless cameras that can shoot in a 4:2 color space. In terms of grading, where, I mean, I'm sure you have, you shot something on another small camera before which only has 4:2 color space. Where do you see the advantages here?
Well, I mean, the advantages is huge. I mean, it's depending, and especially if there's few advantages. Number one, if you're matching to another camera, which was not the case for the sit down. If you're trying to match for on the camera, the abilities to really manipulate the image are just a paramount. So that's one. Two, which was more in our case, being able to we're shooting into practical lamps. So we actually do see the bulbs sometimes, like hot fixtures, versus looking through the window that it's pretty much in dark. So we knew that we want to get as flat image as possible. That's one. And two, being able to manipulate it to the way that we really want to in the end. And having 4:2, that gives you extra 2 channels at the end, and it's just fantastic. Not only a comfort zone, but also the quality that you can deliver at the end.
Really cool. Kacper, let's wrap it up here. But my last question is something that is more relating again to our situation here. So what is a DP like you doing these days when you're not able to shoot outdoors? How are you spending your time?
Wow, not time. I think we're all self-isolating and trying to keep everybody safe. That's one. And I personally decided to start a YouTube channel that mostly deals with being kind and positive. And it's a lot of the Eastern philosophy that I've been kind of always attracted to. So I feel very comfortable behind the camera. I do not do well in front of the camera. So that's starting a YouTube channel like I'm doing right now, filming myself. It's not my territory, but I've decided to say, you know what? It's like I truly believe in the bigger and deeper message is, and especially in time of difficulty, what we can do to focus on and to be kind and good in the time of need. So I decided to do a little, 5 minutes talking to the camera to share some experiences, books, other people that much wiser than me, and what they're teaching and what experiences have been in order to make us just feel a bit better and safer.
Amazing. That's I think the perfect way to end this conversation on a very positive note. And we're definitely gonna link your YouTube channel below, and we're gonna check it out. So maybe there's more ways to collaborate in the future, because I think you have a lot to give and a lot to say to the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you all, guys. Stay safe and be kind.
Thank you so much, Kacper. And thanks to our audience for watching, and stay tuned to Cinema 5D for many more of such interviews. We're gonna try to do our best to do as many interviews as possible during this coronavirus quarantine days, and make the best of it, and make the best of the fact that amazing directors of photography and other filmmakers are sitting at home right now like you are, and are probably more available to talk to us than ever before. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to Cinema 5D, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.